For 40 years, the FTC has been the federal government's lead privacy law enforcer. The report is the product of a fundamental rethinking of a wide range of privacy issues and offers best practices for industry and guidance for Congress should it legislate in this area. The first key recommendation is privacy by design. Privacy by design teaches that companies should build privacy protections into their products and services from the outset. They should collect only the data they need for a specific business purpose, and they should only keep that information as long as it's needed. Collectively, these tenets seek to shift the burden of privacy protection from consumers onto companies. Privacy by design has clear application in the mobile arena. Companies are rolling out new mobile products and services every single day. It's cheaper for industry and better for consumers if companies take privacy into account from the earliest stages of development. This means built-in protections on mobile devices, such as encryption and providing for a data wipe at the end of the device's life. It means embedding privacy protective default settings, and it means collecting only the information needed for a specific and identified business purpose. Companies often tell the FTC that they cannot innovate unless they are broadly permitted to collect information about consumers, on the theory that they may one day identify a new use for that information. This approach to information collection is fundamentally at odds with privacy protection, and I've not seen concrete evidence that it promotes innovation. Platform developers and others should not keep information longer than necessary. For example, location information needed to identify Wi-Fi hotspots should not be retained indefinitely. In data security breach cases, the FTC often sees data retained long past its usefulness to the company that collected it. Although it has no continuing use to the company, it's highly attractive to a hacker. For this reason, good corporate risk management, no less than privacy by design, dictates that companies dispose of consumer data that they don't need. The report also recommends simplified notice and meaningful consumer choice. We can no longer rely on long and dense privacy policies to protect consumer privacy. Understandably, few consumers take the time to find, read, and understand privacy policies when sitting at their desktop. And on a mobile phone, a consumer might have to scroll through 100 screens to read a single privacy policy. That's obviously not realistic. Privacy information should be presented in concise and plain English, or with universal icons or symbols, and where possible on a just-in-time basis. For location information, there should be express affirmative consent, opt-in consent, in other words, before the information is collected. And that, of course, has clear application to the mobile arena. The report also advocates that companies provide express affirmative consent for other sensitive data, such as medical and financial information and information about children. And as you know, the report also recommends the establishment of a do not track system for online behavioral advertising. I know that you had what I'm sure was a lively discussion earlier in the day about do not track, so I'm not going to go into the details of our proposal. But I would like to point out that a majority of us on the Commission support do not track, and we've made clear that it should apply to the mobile arena. With mobile websites, that's easy to accomplish since they function like websites accessed through a desktop computer. Mobile apps, however, present trickier questions of implementation that we're still working through. The report's third recommendation is increased transparency. Improving and standardizing privacy policies is one important step. I've already noted that written privacy policies are fundamentally flawed, but the FTC and other law enforcers, as well as consumer watchdog groups, do rely on privacy policies as a comprehensive statement of a company's privacy practices. The report, therefore, does not advocate abandoning privacy policies. Instead, it urges companies to make them clearer and more uniform for easy comparison. And that has particular relevance to mobile. According to the joint study by Trustee and Harris Interactive, just 19% of the top 340 free applications contain a link to a written privacy policy. Their absence in the mobile sphere adds to the enormous uncertainty about mobile data privacy. Now I'd like to turn briefly to law enforcement in the mobile arena. In the last year, the FTC has launched a mobile forensic lab, retained distinguished technologists, including Ed Felton, our first technology officer, who you heard from earlier today, and assembled a team focused on all manner of consumer protection issues in the mobile arena. We are in the midst of an expedited review of the Child Online Privacy Protection Act, or COPPA, as applied to the mobile sphere, and you can soon expect to hear the results of that review. And FTC staff has a number of non-public mobile investigations in the pipeline, so you can expect to see active enforcement in the mobile arena in the coming months. But in addition, we already have significant accomplishments to report. Most importantly, we've negotiated consent orders with two of the most significant companies in mobile today, Google and Twitter. The FTC charged that Google deceived Gmail users when it used their information to launch its social network, Google Buzz. The Commission's proposed settlement contains strong injunctive relief, including limits on sharing information in certain circumstances without consumers' express affirmative consent. Google will also have to submit to independent privacy audits for the next 20 years. Significantly, the proposed Google order covers the full universe of Google products, including mobile. The Twitter order issued last year similarly protects Twitter's many mobile and non-mobile users. The Commission charged that serious flaws in Twitter's data security enabled hackers to access private account information and private tweets. In addition to injunctive relief, the Commission's order requires Twitter to undergo independent data security audits over the next decade. Earlier this year, the Commission also brought its first case against text message spam. And last year, the FTC brought charges against a company for deceptively marketing mobile apps in the iTunes store. It's still early when it comes to mobile enforcement, but the FTC is focused on the expanding mobile marketplace, and you can expect to see more enforcement actions involving mobile technology. I'd like to close with just one final observation. No company wants to be the subject of an FTC enforcement action, just as many companies hope that Congress doesn't impose new legal requirements. I believe that what happens next is largely in industry's hands. The mobile industry can accomplish a great deal through voluntary action if it sets its mind to it. For better or worse, a small number of companies, mainly Apple and Google, assert significant control as gatekeepers over the mobile environment. My hope is that we will see them and other industry participants insist on the best practices advocated by the FTC's preliminary staff report. And I encourage industry to dedicate the considerable talents of its engineers and designers to provide workable, voluntary solutions to the privacy challenges presented by the remarkable mobile technology of today and tomorrow. On that note, let me thank you again for inviting me to be here.